Welcome to the Sisterhood of Sweat. I am here today with Brad Williams. Over the last decade, Brad owned and operated 3 gyms located in Orange County, California, and oversaw 40 plus independent personal trainers, each with their own unique training style. Brad has built a loyal following, sought after client trainer community culture within each of his gym locations. Post COVID, Brad had to focus more on online training, and he started his first podcast called Over 40 Fitness Hacks. He wanted the show to revolve around his passion for helping the over 40 crowd fight the aging process while still having a social life. Today, we talked about over 40 fitness hacks, what to do when your body's aging, how to pivot, how to work around it, how to give your body what it needs, what to do when it's breaking down, how to build it up, listening to your body, and gaining knowledge on the things that don't feel good in your body and what we could do differently. And we also talked about how it was to own a brick and mortar store, a gym during COVID, what we did to pivot and what we're still doing, and the evolution of our businesses as well as just our fitness careers. It was such a great conversation, definitely motivating to people that passionate about helping you with your health and fitness coming together. So it was a great podcast on health and perseverance. I hope you guys enjoy this episode with Brad Williams. I'm excited to welcome Brad Williams to the Sisterhood of Sweat today. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Linda, for having me on the show.
I already know we're going to have a lot to talk about because we're kindred spirits in a lot of ways as I look over your bio. And one of those ways was having a gym during COVID. Oh my goodness. I would love to hear, because you were in California and Ohio, we had to shut down for at least 3 months. And I really actually just got my gym rolling about the time this all happened. So tell me your
Yeah.
story.
Oh, yeah. So I've been in the game for 14 years, personal trainer and gym owner, and over across Orange County, mostly in Huntington Beach here. And, even before COVID happened, I'd kind of, went to try to scale too fast with some investors, pushing me to open up more gyms. And at one point we had 3, and just doing business in California has just been a nightmare, to say the least. And eventually kind of consolidating those down to 2. And then COVID happened, and one was like a big box gym in Fountain Valley, which I discovered later was, 10 minutes away from Huntington Beach, where it's like hot. You've got, people that can afford training there, and you go 10 minutes, east to Fountain Valley, and that whole community is more focused on kids. So already was struggling with that one, and it was kind of on its way out. And then COVID took that one out, and we quickly got rid of that one. But my last gym, we have one, and we still have that one, was right in Huntington Beach. This is hardcore Republican. They were kind of going against the grain. And we had a warehouse gym here in Huntington Beach, just tucked in. You couldn't even find it. So, luckily we were able to, at least do some type of business while COVID was going on. And then as, 6-month marker, I think people started, releasing and coming back a little bit. But I really started more focusing on online, because I just saw, look what could happen with just a couple politicians or mass pandemic that can just wipe industries out. I saw same thing with hair salons and yoga and Pilates all go under. I was like, you really need to push for something more scalable. And that's kind of where I got it more into podcasting and online training. But I still love doing my local brick and mortar shop as well.
Wow. So we're so similar. I have the podcast, the brick and mortar, and I get the whole online space, and I'm working more on my online space. And I did go online during the pandemic. I was already Zooming with podcasting. So I just took all of my clients and my gym while we had to close online, and we would do class, and I would just leave the channel open so everybody could talk back and forth. And
Yeah.
so I think it made everyone still feel connected. And I think that was a really crucial part of strategy for getting through a pandemic, as well as I didn't advertise because I was like, okay, we're going to stand 6 feet apart.
Hmm.
And so I was like, all right, I probably already have my people that are going to stand 6 feet apart. I'll just focus on who's here. And I think like a majority of those things, and I also got a grant from the city, are what really helped my business thrive.
Wow. Yeah. I wish I was a little bit more fluent with the online training world and Zoom. I did dabble a little bit, but it was just one of those things that was always on the back burner, and I never got full into it. And then, lo and behold, on COVID, when that happened, the shutdown happened, all of us had to frantically catch ourselves back up and get that going. But I think Zoom kind of helped us at the most to start out, because we did the same thing, Zoom classes, and our clients loved us, and they, most of them took care of us even while they were at home doing the workouts. And I actually went to a lot of my clients' house and was rationing out my own equipment from the gym.
I did that.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
if what I could, because we only had so many 3-pounders, 5-pounders, 10-pounders, that kind of thing. And but I just
Because
saw
you
the
could
need,
not get weights or anything. It was like a commodity that
yeah.
got bought up.
Oh, and then closing down that Fountain Valley gym that I was mentioning, we did that in 2019. I sold that stuff for pennies on the dollar. I could have sold it for 3x had it been 1 year later.
Oh my gosh, I'm
So whatever,
sure.
you can't win them all.
Well, business is a learning experience, and the longer you're in business, the more you learn, the more you adjust, you throw mud against the wall, see what sticks. And when it doesn't work, you pivot. And I know that's a big word everyone used during COVID, and you just decide, all right, now what? What do I do now? And what do I actually have at my fingertips that I can use? I can't worry about I learned this business model from the Client Cure. I had to throw it completely out the window.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Uh-huh.
I tell people all the time, like, you can't learn this stuff in school. I had a business administration major, and okay, it gives you the bare necessities, but you don't know anything until you get out there in the wild, and it's completely different. So, as long as
Well,
you have that hustle attitude and you can lateral when you need to, I mean, that was the main thing.
I think I shouldn't say I had to throw it completely out the window. The business model they gave me helped set me up to make it through the pandemic. But then the rest of it I did have to toss because it was survival mode, right?
Yeah. How many gyms do you own right now?
I own one.
Just one?
I started with a small studio, and then expanded to the bigger one in 2019, and God blessed me with that, and then he blessed me again. I was able to expand during the pandemic.
Wow. That's awesome.
So lots of prayer. That was my that's the magic cure. But I will just say that it was a learning experience, and it made me realize why you have to be diverse, and why community is important, connection, and then how can you create that both online and in the personal space that you're in.
Yeah. And I think, the biggest thing going on the online world is there's now, I mean, it is scalable and you're across the nation, but there are also so many more people that are in the same space. So, when I opened up my gyms, we had to have a pretty decent niche, but also it kind of mattered just who is around you, how much competition, and, you wouldn't be really pulling clients more than a couple miles out regardless. On the online world, you're fighting everybody. So you really have to niche yourself down. So over the last 13, 14 years of training clients, I was always kind of the over 40 trainer. That's just who came to our gyms here in Huntington Beach. And I just, had passion helping them and got good at it. And therefore I kind of use that to start my podcast. That's all my training and experience has been. And now, like we were talking before the show, I've turned 40 myself. I'm 42 now. And I just couldn't believe like how many things have changed with my body. Injuries, just, how to tone down sports, how to tone down powerlifting, allergies. I'm now like allergic to 2 different things where I can go into anaphylactic shock. And that thing came in, mid-30s. That's when they say it usually comes. So it's like, life's not fair. All my clients were right. But, that's kind of my theme, is helping them through this process, and, tips and tricks to kind of fit what lifestyle works for you.
I like what you said about niching. I think too many people think that they need to be the same as everyone else and offer the same things. And that is so not true. It's really, your why should make you cry, which mine did today. I literally, they came to do a promo video and the guy asked me why, and I literally had to stop. I got so choked up and I had to turn my back to him for a second to get my composure. But then it reminded me, your why should make you cry. Like, your why is your driving force in business. What is your, like Lewis Howes says, your purposeful mission? And I like that you do have a mission. And I think you could even dial that in deeper and clearer with the over 40 crowd that are all experiencing that they're not invincible, that, I've got an injury now, or I've got weight gain that I'm experiencing and I'm doing all the same things I did at 20. Why is this happening? And I think that the gyms, because like I read this whole article from Les Mills where they said it was mainly the over 30 somethings. And if you read that, that would almost make you think, my business model won't work then. But then it could then on the flip side make you realize why your business would work. Why? Because not everybody is just 30 something. And there are plenty of people out there that are looking for a new way forward, that the old way doesn't work anymore. They don't have time to spend 3 hours in the gym pumping up their biceps, and they need what you're offering. They need what I'm offering. And that's what made me realize my business would be successful, because I'm 60 and I know you're in your 40s, and people my age might work out with younger people, but they don't really relate the same to them.
Yeah. Like I said, my niche, helping the over 40 crowd, really my true calling didn't really happen until 5 years ago, when I had my first lower back injury that, years later, did a surgery, rehab my body. It's like the 4th time I've rehabbed my body in my life. Ended up re-herniating the same disc, doing next to nothing. Just everyone's body's different. Mine didn't heal. Started, that herniation leaked out again, had to go through a second surgery. And just like, going through that humbling experience and just learning like, okay, you're not indestructible. You're a personal trainer and you're not indestructible. Look what happened to you. And just having to find more, better ways to get, the same accomplishments. Yeah. So not just nutrition, but, a big thing of mine is, now training more time under tension, or some people call it slow motion training or negatives, of just working with lower weights, taking your time doing each rep, you sometimes 5 or 10 seconds of doing something as simple as like a squat, and, recruiting more muscle fibers. It's a more quality, efficient workout. You can do it in less time. And thus it's also better for your joints. And in my case, my lower back. And now at 42, working with that system, and also just knowing your body, with nutrition and what feels good. I journal down a lot of stuff. Did these, exercises feel good for my back? Do I feel good overall? How did I sleep? Just listening to your body, which before, in my 20s and 30s, I never did. I just powered through everything, and I was just,
You're talking to the girl that ripped almost all of the muscles from her pelvis, front and back. and I had to chill, but it took 3 horrific injuries to get me to chill. And
Yep.
I have been chilling. I have, but right now I'm so tempted to be doing something, and I keep holding myself back because I'm like, are you really ready? Are you really ready to do it?
Yeah. I keep thinking too, like, I stopped pretty much all my powerlifting, but now that I do a lot of physical therapy and this time under tension stuff and my body just feels strong, I'm like, well, everything's a little safer now. Should I try again? And I'm like, no, this can never happen
Oh,
again.
see, then I start talking to myself and saying, is this really worth it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes. Glama, that's my name to my grandchildren, just did 3 cartwheels yesterday because I've been a little bit grounded on that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
and they didn't hurt. And I was like, oh, maybe I can go back to doing the fitness competition stuff.
Yeah.
So then but then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna think about that a little longer.
My thing
So
is, if I'm not getting paid like an NFL athlete to beat my body up like
then
this,
why are
then
you
it's just
doing it?
why am I doing it? If it's
Oh my
to
gosh.
biohack and help others for later, which it's not. So me blowing out all my tendons and joints is
Oh my
not going to
gosh.
help anything.
Oh my gosh, right? That is the thing we have to remind ourselves of is, and I worked on building my body up, with collagen and hyaluronic acid and like different like things that I took supplements and rest and not doing gymnastics through the sky and the air, and because I realized my tendons were tight and my ligaments were loose, which causes the ripping that I
Yeah.
experienced. And so at some point in your life you do have to recognize that you may have to go about things differently. Now, what are some of the things, you have all these over 40 hacks.
Hmm.
Tell us some of the over 40 hacks that, besides the time under tension, that you use.
Yeah. So a big one that I fell into probably 2 years ago was just that concept of for diet wise, the intermittent fasting. And everyone should check with their healthcare professionals to see if it's okay for them. You always got to say that. But it's just a simple theory of crunching your eating window down and down as to whatever suits you. It should not be an exact time. It should be what feels good to you. And I started doing that, and oh my God, how much easier it is to hold a lower weight at what I want, was not even worrying about what you're eating and calories and cheating days and all that kind of stuff, but just crunching down that time window. And so I really started loving that and having clients try that. And it wasn't for everybody, but some also had the same benefit. And that's the biggest thing is what I've seen the last 14 years of my career is, not every training style, not every diet, not every supplement is going to work the same for everyone. All our biochemistry is just different. Our blood, our genetics, how people assimilate through their digestive tract, it's all different. So
Your
listening to
hormones.
hormones from guy to girl, like everything is just listen to your body. And we don't do that, until you have some humbling experience, like, both of us have had, where you start worrying about this kind of stuff. So intermittent fasting, I kind of then turned into longer fasting, start and obviously wean your way into that. You can't just jump into it, but I started doing, once every 3 weeks, I would do a 36. I worked up to that, and I actually did a couple of 48-hour fasts, and I checked
They're
my
very efficient.
yeah, and then just learning that whole theory of autophagy, where your body has time to clean itself out, any
Yeah, I'm a big
radicals
believer
and
in that. Big believer.
cholesterol. And I did a check with my doctor because I was running everything through him, and within 4 months I dropped my cholesterol down by 20%. We haven't seen anything like that since my 20s. So that's a real big one that I like trying with people. How about yourself? Did you play around with fasting?
Oh, I have done the intermittent fasting. For me, what it did mostly was to develop more discipline.
Mm-hmm.
But I found, now that I've passed menopause and I'm 60 years old, that what I ate as a fitness competitor, like all those meals,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's totally clean, it's too much food. and my body doesn't burn it off. And the biggest thing that really helped me after all those injuries to bounce back to my fighting weight or my competition weight was fasting. And it really, it's empowering. It's like you are in charge of your food versus it being in charge of you. And it really boosts your metabolism and gets like you burning these extra fat stores that are sitting around on the body. And I just find I feel kind of euphoric after I finished a fast. And like there's so much science on the actual like fasting, like what you said, you did a 48-hour. I have one in my book, The Sweat Project, which starts with the 48-hour, and then it kind of tapers back into, you know, your eating, but gradually like adding in. And I just really believe in detoxing and fasting. I think intermittent fasting works. I feel it works really well for men. I've had experience of it working with women, but I really found the best results were the 48-hour fast, and then having like just making them realize maybe once they've hit a certain age, they're probably not burning as many calories. They have to eat a little bit less.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, as we're aging, it's harder to keep this muscle on. I mean, I'm seeing it with just myself at 42. And, you got to do everything you can to, one, sustain what you got, two, better quality proteins and food to even put it on. And then coming up with tricks like, time under tension and other different types of various training protocols that help you get more bang for the buck. That's the name of the game. But it is a losing battle. It's fighting the aging process, but we can only do the best we can. And I don't see any reason why people can't get up to they're saying 120 now, and just from what we've seen in history, just who knows what the limit is to our age and what we can get to, and how our bodies can detox and reverse any damage we've done to a point. So that's why I like to put out there, even if you didn't grow up into fitness and health and wellness and all that, and you're starting a little bit later in life, you'd be surprised how your body can reverse a lot of things, and very quickly too.
Oh,
and,
the body heals itself if you give it the right rest and ingredients and all that.
So
I like that.
Yeah. Another hack I like talking about, and I learned this actually through podcasting and meeting other people around the world, and was more about, tracking your microminerals, not just your macros, the protein, fats, and carbs, but also your, calcium, potassium, magnesium, all your vitamins. And I found it hard to like track that. It was always easy to use MyFitnessPal to track, all the macros, but a lot of those apps and everything, it's the public putting stuff on there, so they don't incorporate everything in those food items. So I found a cool website. Your audience might want to check it out. It's called eatthismuch.com, and it shows everything, every type of food on this planet in raw form and cooked form. Because when you cook certain foods like spinach, the potassium level just skyrockets versus if you ate it raw. And other things get denatured where certain things will get destroyed. And so you just it's just like doing your macros. You only want to do it every now and then because it gets kind of annoying doing it daily. But make yourself a little chart. Check with your doctor, or I just went on Google and checked the RDAs of everything. That's at least a starting point. And what we found was that obviously we all know our American diet is high in sodium, and even if you're eating clean, the sodium's up a little high. And then potassium was next to nothing when it's supposed to be double the amount of sodium. And what that does is you get more potassium in your diet. It pushes that bloat, that water weight out of your blood, your arteries, and pulls what water it needs into your cells, which gives you that fuller look in your muscles too. And then also found discrepancies in like not enough zinc and copper, and you can go on and on and on. But at least it's a starting point to see kind of like where you are versus just taking a multivitamin pill and I got everything, I'm good. Well, no, because everyone eats differently and has different diets. So you kind of need to see, where you're at.
And what was the name of that website again?
Eatthismuch.com.
So I like that idea, and it goes along with I did this whole course and became a consultant for the root cause protocol with
Mm-hmm.
Morley Robbins. And this is where we do not just guess at what you have a blood test and a tissue mineral analysis, and then we sit down and we send you all these questionnaires, we go through this timeline, and it's crazy how everything lines up to what stress you had, what's going on, what happened when. And you can look directly at like the relationship between like your sodium and your potassium, your magnesium and calcium, and be looking like, oh. And so then you're like, stop doing this, start doing this. And it gives people, instead of having expensive pee where you're taking hundreds of vitamins and you don't
Mm-hmm.
even know, it's like, is this working? It's more of a like an answer to be like, okay, this is what I'm lacking. This is what I have. I'm right at the right line. I'm right in line with what I need. And so I like that idea. I like the idea of that website tracking what you're actually putting in the body. And it's like we should have come with a manual.
Yeah, I know. It took 42 years to even come up with a beginner chapter of a manual. It's not
But
fair.
so it's really, it's the more knowledge you have, the more power you have. And I think, it's very expensive to go to sick care. I rather
Yeah.
help people to feel good and focus on well care, which is a lot less expensive. So next time you look at those supplements and you think, oh, that's pricey, it's more pricey to be unwell than it is to just take care of your health.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
But
I just did an episode on my podcast where I talked about knowing your body, just like we're talking about, and you know start be more in tune with your body. Like I wasn't really in my 20s and 30s because I would just power through everything, had a high threshold for pain. But now I'm in my 40s. I'm really like looking at everything I put in my body, and just finding that, oh wow, this type of food upsets my stomach. Okay, stop eating that one. So I've got like a little red alert list, and writing stuff down is huge because something happened yesterday. If I don't write it down, I already forget it, and maybe a year later I come across it again. So that's why I'm real big into journaling. So red wine. All of a sudden, red wine. I never really drink it, but I had some a few weeks ago, and noticed like I was starting to wheeze and get shortness of breath, and googling that and everything. And some people are allergic to that. And so
it could have too many sulfates, or
it
it could
could
have
too, yeah.
glyphosate in it, or
Yeah. But then I tried like a nicer Italian bottle my wife had, and I still had a reaction to that one too. So I don't even like red wine. It was just, I was only drinking it because that's all there was.
well, I know, like, for me, the things that I used to do, I can't do the same. Like if I have any alcohol, I like to have some gluten-free vodka, and I make a clean cocktail
Mm-hmm.
with kombucha and some triple sec, and I'm good to go. I don't have
Ooh,
any adverse effects, and it's like a little Cosmo.
nice.
And it's good. And so I just found like a whole book of clean cocktails, and that seems to be the game changer. And my family enjoys making them with me. Like if I make, I made a drink, I think, that had the blackberries that you kind of muddle,
Yeah.
and then I think it had a little bit of bourbon. It had, and I made on the on the stove coconut sugar with water until it kind of boiled. It made a syrup. They're always putting the syrup in your
Yeah,
cocktail,
exactly.
but this was like, it really does make a difference in how you feel, what is actually in your drink.
Yeah.
So like I think you could still have some cocktails. You just have to find that way around. Like maybe what you used to do doesn't work now. And I know I grew up my whole life. My dad I remember him always having like sinus issues, always having to blow his nose, like it would bleed. And I had them until I recognized, oh, if I don't have dairy and I don't have wheat, I don't have any issues.
Yeah. I know just on gluten, that was a thing that I discovered and how terrible I would feel just by eating some cheese and crackers, that had gluten. And within 15 minutes, stomach is bloated out, more. I was like, how is it doing this? And, switching that to gluten-free type products and how much better you feel. And same thing with beer.
Mhm.
I was used to
Yeah,
like
I have that
drinking
too.
IPAs and beers, that kind of stuff, and just switching to, just like a vodka soda or a thing of bourbon, and it's, so much better on my digestive tract. So you got to listen to your body and use those kind of things.
I mean, even certain vegetables like nightshade vegetables, some
Yeah,
people can't tolerate. Um, and it's just the list is endless. Like when you don't have any estrogen, you don't want to eat something that's taking your estrogen out. And just
yeah,
learning that, oh, when my body changes, I have to make changes. And getting out there, listening to podcasts like yours and mine, and getting books and getting yourself informed. And I think you really already know a lot of what you need, and you feel it. You feel it if you're paying attention. You
hmm
feel it when you've had something that wasn't good for you. You feel it.
yeah. And a cool test too. I've been doing this. You know, whether or not you're fasting long, you can still just before you have your next meal the next day, breakfast, I guess, for example, um, anything that's on your little red alert list that you may think is causing you some issues, have that like 30 minutes before your breakfast because your body is now a little more sensitive. You're only putting one thing in your body, and you'll know right away within 15 minutes. Oh, how did I feel with that? Vegetable or cheese or gluten. But when you do the longer fast, your body is hypersensitive. I think within 5 minutes, if something's bad. So on my little list, every now and then when I do that long fast, I've got the next little thing that I'm thinking that maybe cauliflower, is causing me issues. Every time have vegetables,
Mhm.
I think that's the one. So that's next on my list to try out. But you will know in like 5 to 10 minutes on that.
And some people use a continuous glucose monitor, uh, and there's all of these different things that people, these little, like I think it's called the Luna. There's so many little things
Oh
that
yeah, the
people
lumen.
use. The Lumen. I
Yeah,
have one. I should
it
know the
sounds
name.
interesting.
But they have all of these things where they can tell, or you could just do the finger prick to see after you fasted when you eat, is that really what you should be having? Because if it spikes your blood sugar that much,
Yeah,
so you want to keep your blood sugar balanced. And I think elimination diets are great because um, when you eliminate something and then you add it back in, you know right away if it's a culprit.
yeah,
And the same thing with fasting. You fasted and then you have something, you can tell right away, oh my gosh, my belly just blew up like a balloon. What the
there you
heck?
go. Red alert.
Like maybe you're lactose intolerant. Like if you had ice cream and your belly blows up like a balloon.
Yeah. I found out like late 30s, I was having problems with whey. And, looking back, feeling like the
You
little
didn't know it was
itchiness on my
dairy.
throat. I had never gone into anaphylactic shock before, but now I know that feeling well. So anything that gives you that tickle up your throat or even a little lip quiver, oh, red alert, red alert. And,
Oh yeah. Or
you know,
phlegm, all that phlegm, a lot of phlegm,
yeah,
or having to blow your nose constantly are all signs.
yep. So listen
Yeah.
to your body.
So important. I want to go back to what we were talking about with the injuries and pain and all of this. And because I know a lot of people out there may feel knocked down in life and they feel like giving up. after, 1, 2, 3 injuries, give them a little motivation today and a way out and through.
Yeah, so I mean, just kind of talking with my lower back injury 5 years ago, and if I could go all the way back, when I first remember seeing my L5S1 with my chiropractor, and her mentioning, ooh, a lot of guys your age, especially athletic, and boys probably more in particular, a little top heavy, and we're beating the crap out of each other when you're young and all that kind of stuff. But seeing that disc, half the size of what it should be, that I wish she told me, or I knew, to like, you need to tone it down right then and there, because that's eventually what led to more and more of that kind of stuff, and athletics and probably deadlifting that kind of pulled that disc even further down. And eventually it was just a trip, a really nasty trip holding weight, and I caught it and held it, that blew that disc out. But going through that and eventually the surgery, I was in so much pain. It was like level 50 pain. I'd already gotten past level 9, level 10. I had started jumping by fives. It was so bad. And people who have had sciatic pain, know what I'm talking about. And there's tons of other horrible things, I know that, but that's just the worst I've ever felt. But not giving up. I after that surgery, I just took it slower. I did more physical therapy. I was feeling good. And then it herniated again. And a lot of people at that point would just be in despair, like, it's just never going to get better. The surgeon tells you that, sorry, everyone's different, I can't guarantee anything. And not falling apart, I'm like, nope, I'm that personal trainer. All my clients are looking up to me. Like, I don't care how long it takes, I will find something or some method that works to get me back on my feet. And after that second surgery, that was that mentality I had. So I took everything slower, started listening to my body. All the different physical therapists and chiros that I went to, all kind of have different little philosophies and modalities they use. But from each one of them, I found something that worked and felt good from all of them. So I started building my own program to that. And, I'm 2 years past that second surgery, and I feel functionally the strongest I've ever been. And, just like we've been talking about, of doing more quality stuff and working smarter, not harder, I have the same body I had back in my 30s with less work. So, as long as you just keep going, if you have to lateral in life, you do it. But there is tons of time left. Slow it down. It doesn't need to be done in 3 months, 6 months. You can take baby steps for everything. And it's probably the best for your body to do so as well.
Well, when your body's breaking down, you got to figure out how to build it up. And why is it breaking down? Are you over taxing it? Are you overusing it? Are you not giving it enough rest? Are you not giving it quality ingredients like collagen? Or even so now, I would have never believed this, but I do creatine every day. Yeah. And I would have never done creatine back in the day. I would have been afraid it's gonna, make me huge or something. And I use it as a method of over 40, keeping the lean muscle mass. And it also helps your joints and your ligaments and everything else, so to keep the body from breaking down. And so there are some hacks, there are some things that you can try. Of course, you want to drink plenty of water, and you don't want to overdo it. But I think just finding out, like, what am I lacking? What am I overdoing? Where can I cut back, and where can I build myself up?
Exactly. I take collagen too for all those benefits you just described. But there's other like foods that can help too with, one in particular was like skin. I started noticing it was having a little more kind of bumpy skin on my arms. They call it chicken skin, I guess. But, researching and talking to other people, I found out that, how much garlic plays a part in the sulfur component of it, and how well it works with like your skin and collagen level naturally. And, I eat garlic every day. I usually do it at night because, I don't want to offend anybody like during the day. But, 2-3 days of really actively going, using garlic, my skin is, as smooth as a baby, like within just 3 days. So,
I love that.
just finding things like that and then write it down. That's your to-do list. So, create these lists and just start compiling them and doing stuff that feels good.
I think it's amoxicillin that I take. It's garlic.
Mm-hmm.
Through I carry this product, Designs for Health, but it's got a lot of claim to fame. It really actually helps you with inflammation, taking it out of the body. And it's interesting that you're saying that it helps with skin. I love that. Anything that we can do to make ourselves healthier, because it's about your quality of life while you're here on the planet. Of course, all of us want to live long, but we don't want to live long feeling
With no quality.
old and
Yeah.
broke down and decrepit.
No. Yeah, exactly. How many years of, being functionally, movable and feeling good? That's all that matters.
Yeah, so good today. I have really enjoyed this. This has been a fun conversation. Where in the world can people get a hold of you, and what is the name of your podcast?
Yeah. My podcast, Over 40 Fitness Hacks, and it's spelled 40, not spelled out. And my website, over40fitnesshacks.com, is the best place to, email me, contact me. And that's also 40, not spelled out. But yeah, it's been a real pleasure talking to you, Linda. And hopefully I can get you on my show as well and talk some shop.
Sure, I'd love to come on. And I love, talking about fitness. I could really, I can tell you're very passionate about it. And anyone that's owned a gym and is still going and podcasting, they're in it to win it. So
Yeah.
my hat is off to you. And you got a fellow comrade here in that fight for, fitness and just helping people to feel better no matter what they've been through or what age they're at.
Yeah, no, I love what you're doing as well, and just seeing all these other health and wellness professionals just spreading more awareness, because 20 years ago we didn't have as much stuff as it's being shown today. So just love it.
Yeah, we didn't have the knowledge, we didn't have the internet, we didn't
Yeah.
have people to motivate us, and I think it helps you along your journey when you have some inspirations and role models. So I salute you today, and make sure you guys check out his podcast and give him some love. Give us a great review. Share this with your friends. And as always, you guys, keep on keeping on. Bye, everyone.
See you guys.